Hi, this is Mike for DraftBuddy.com, and today I'm going to demonstrate setting up DraftBuddy for Fantasy Baseball, Fantasy Points League, which, we do a lot of roto stuff, Fantasy Baseball, but I'm preparing for a new league we're running for DraftBuddy members. And I thought, well, as part of that prep, why don't I demonstrate how I'm setting up DraftBuddy for this league? So I haven't done too much so far. I've downloaded DraftBuddy, that's about it. So here's the download page. I download DraftBuddy, so let's open Excel. Here's Excel, and this may look a little different depending if you're on a Mac or Windows. I'm on a Mac right now, and what version of Excel. But my DraftBuddy is found right here. Now, this being the master file, I don't really want to save my changes here. So I'm going to change the file name almost right away. And the first thing that comes up is Enable Macros Notice. We want to enable macros to make sure all the background programming works properly. Security warning here, they're very cautious about security, whatever. This is about data connections, I believe. We're going to enable that so we can update DraftBuddy if we need to. This one is all updated because I just downloaded it. And now we should be up here. Now you can see we're on the Rules tab, the very first tab. Now, like I said, I'm going to change the name of this. I'm going to use Save As, and I want to make sure it's Excel Macro Enable Workbook, so it's the same format. And I actually have a separate folder on my computer and documents called FB Leagues, or Fantasy Baseball Leagues. And we're going to call this, as you shorten this to DB, 2019 Draft Buddy Members League. Okay, so there we go. And then the way this works is you're going to have a different DraftBuddy file for each league you're in. All right. Okay, so let's change some of the settings here. DraftBuddy members, fantasy points, an extra long title here, points league. Sure. It's not a roto league. It is fantasy points. It is a mixed. Now we're running this on Fantrax. So let me just confirm some of the settings that we've got here. I'm going to go to the league rules summary. And even though I set this up, I need to remember exactly 28 players, 22 starters, 6 reserve. Here are the starters, 1 across all the infield, catcher, 5 outfielders, 9 pitchers, not specified, starter or reliever. Okay, so let's put that in. What did I say, 28? Yes, 28. There are 12 teams in this league, so there's the 12. 28 max roster size. Position eligibility 20, that's correct. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 5 outfielders. Geez, you'd think I already had this all set here. 0, 0, and 9. Now, I mean, for the pitchers, if you put 1 starter or a couple starters, a couple relievers in your 9, to draft 9 pitchers, you're probably going to hit a couple starters, a couple relievers anyways, as opposed to 9 of all one type. But regardless, DraftBuddy should account for that properly and value the pitchers appropriately, whether you put starters or relievers. Okay, so there's the 22 starters. There is it was a 12-team league, 28 roster spots. Now, since I switched from roto to fantasy points, you can see a separate tab opened up here, and the roto one disappeared. F point scoring. So we'll go to make sure the scoring is accurate here. And again, this is the default scoring since I just downloaded DraftBuddy. This may not be accurate to what we're using. Let's see here. Doubles are worth 2, homers are worth 4, triples are worth 3, singles 1, stolen bases 2, RBIs and runs are 1. See if I can remember all that. Singles are 1, doubles are 2, triples are 3, homers are 4. That's correct. Runs, RBIs, 1 each. Total bases not used. Walk is 1, probably. Walk is 1. Strikeout. No negative for strikeouts. Well, there you go. That'll be good for guys like Stanton. Stolen bases is 2. What was the last card? He caught stealing. Well, we saw no negatives, so that's 0. Now let's go to the pitcher scoring. Pitcher scoring, per the Fantrax League, we have 1 for an innings pitched, 10 for a win, 7 for a save, -5 for a loss. Okay, let's update that. 1 for innings pitched, 10 for a win, -5 for a loss, 7 for a save. And I don't believe there's anything for blown saves. No. Quality start 3, strikeout 1. Quality start was up here. Nothing for blown saves. Nothing for holds. Strikeout 1. No negatives for walks, strikeouts, hits allowed, but there was -1 for earned runs allowed. Okay, so let's change that to -1. And I hope you can see this okay in the video. Yeah, maybe I should have done this a little bigger, perhaps. That would have been better, but you can do full screen when you're watching the video and make sure you see all the detail. Okay, so I've got the rules. I've got the scoring in. Let's go. That's pretty much all I need to do. As you know, just very basic setup for Draft Buddy. I don't need to get the owners I could fill in. Sure, that's not going to change anything in the cheat sheets. The options tab. There may be some things I'll change here later, but all in all, right now it's set to use the Draft Buddy projections, which is the default. I could change that to any of the available projections in this. Right now I have ATC and the BAT projections in here. I could download Steamer, I could download Zeal, I could download Zips, I could use a combination of those things. We won't get into that today, but I'm going to stick with the Draft Buddy projections. The tiers will probably change. They usually do when you go from dollar values to points. And since this is not an auction, the cheat sheet should have point values on them. Let me bump this up here in the view. Fantrax integration. Of course, we're going to use this later when we're in the draft, but it doesn't do anything here. I'll fill in a different league ID for the Fantrax league, and then we can, track the draft results as the draft is happening. Action tab. All right, so what I haven't done is updated or compiled the cheat sheets for the settings. So that's what we need to do. Let me bump this again up to 125. You can see it a little better. Anytime you make changes in the settings, rules, scoring, or change the projections or anything like that, for those changes to be reflected in the cheat sheets, you need to hit compile cheat sheets. Okay. Now the only caution there is if you already have keepers or some draft picks already in place because the draft has started, or you've customized the draft order, you make sure you change these reset options from yes to no. Okay. You can see a little drop down here when you click on the cell. It'll drop down here. You can switch it to no. Okay. Gives you a little more information about what's going on there. But if you are prepping for a league for the first time, or you have not input any of those things, such as keepers, custom draft order, any draft picks, then it's safe to leave these on yes, and essentially Draft Buddy will reset everything. I probably should hit this button here because we're going to have a bit of a wait. So we have compile cheat sheets. We're going to hit the button, and then it goes through and sets up all the tabs based on our settings. So I think the default was 15 teams on the draft report, and I didn't show that at the time, but the draft report had a 15-team draft going, and it was, I think, 25 rounds or something, or 26. Well, we changed those on the rules tab to be a 12-team league and 28 players. So now the draft report will adjust for that. The rosters tab will adjust to 12 teams. There we go. Compile cheat sheets is done. And then it shoots us over to the overall cheat sheet. But you can see all these tabs are updated. So summary now shows 12 teams. It had 15 before. If I go to the draft report, like I mentioned, it's showing a 12-team draft. Okay, whereas it was 15 before. The rosters tab shows 12. Okay, and I'm not sure where I'm drafting yet because we haven't randomized the draft order yet. But that's fine. At this point, we're just doing draft prep and looking at the cheat sheets. So the cheat sheets over here is the hitters tab, and you can see there's a lot of red lines in there. This is the tier lines. Let me increase the size of this as well. The pitchers tab, similar over here. Okay, shows the starters, relievers, and then the overall tab as well. All right, and you can see we have fantasy points in here. Wow, Mike Trout. Over 100 points higher than Max Scherzer. Okay, but not over 100 points higher than the next best player. So Mookie Betts, 659. but I guess based on position scarcity and the scoring for the pitchers, wow, the pitchers are really highly valued here. I guess with the 9 players and the scoring with the 10 per win, they are really highly valued in this league. So at least based on our preliminary cheat sheets from Draft Buddy. So let me update those tiers. So go to the Options tab, change this from 5 to 20. You know, actually we'll do a little more than that. Maybe we'll do 30. Okay. And that probably doesn't update immediately. I would have to run compile cheat sheets again. So we'll do that. And again, you know, the tier number default was a little bit lower before because everyone was in dollar values. $5 seemed like an appropriate amount to kind of estimate a teardrop from one to the next. And you know, when you get into fancy points, and we're talking about players ranging from 400 to almost 700 fantasy points for the season, then you want to use a number bigger than 5. So even the 30 may not be appropriate. I maybe change it to 40 later. Of course, there's no tiers on an overall cheat sheet. That doesn't make a lot of sense. The tiers are used more for position drop-offs. And you can see hitters here. So now we have a little bit more of a spread in these tiers from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, etc. by position. All right, so there is our preliminary cheat sheet, and I've demonstrated how to set up Draft Buddy for a fantasy points league. And you know, now we're going to continue with the draft prep based on this. So we don't have to finalize these cheat sheets. I mean, you can take these to your draft and go if you like, but you know, if you do your draft prep, you may want to move some players up and down. You know, adjust projections, really analyze you know, the tier drops at each of the positions, and understand your league most of all in terms of what positions are valuable, what positions you can wait on. That type of thing is all part of your draft prep. But Draft Buddy, without a lot of changes at this point, is ready to go. All right, so thanks for watching the video, and if you have any questions, please post in the comments. Cheers.